people took offense to my last video when I called grain-fed beef the 80-20. I called it trash, and I had some people message me on Insta. I got a few you know, nasty emails, and I'll tell you this.
And we are the dreamers of dreams.
Living life, spinning like a merry-go-round, traveling all around the world, you know we get around. Good vibes only, you know it's the one and only Justin Bravo. Yeah, that's my number one homie, subscribe. Come on.
Yo, Goat Gang, what's going on? All right, before I get started, real quick, I was inside Whole Foods right now. The manager came over to me and said, "What are you doing? Are you filming inside the store?" And I said, "Yes." You know, I just, you know, he caught me red-handed. He caught me with the camera. And anyway, he asked what I was doing, and I told him I was doing a vlog about grass-fed beef versus grain-fed beef versus grass-fed beef, like all the things. I was told him what I was doing, and he goes, "That's okay. Just don't get any other customers in the camera, and we support that cause, go for it." So shout out to Whole Foods, thank you so much. That was really cool because, you know, sometimes businesses, man, they kick you out for no reason. They you know, I'm not a troublemaker. I'm not trying to do pranks here at Whole Food. I'm here just trying to give a little education to the people. Anyway, Goat Gang, I'm over here at Whole Foods. I just got some grass-fed skirt steak for tonight, for tonight's dinner. I'll tell you this, that people took offense to my last video when I called grain-fed beef the 80-20. I called it trash, and I had some people message me on Insta. I got a few you know, nasty emails, and I'll tell you this, that okay, it's not trash. I'm sorry, I went a little extreme with it, but it's not trash. I mean, it's still good, especially if you're doing keto. Can you get cut? Can you get lean? Can you lose weight doing 80-20 grain-fed beef? 100% yes, you can do it. But to me, like, the whole goal of keto and the goal of losing weight is to be healthy. And the root of all disease, if everyone knows, the root of all disease is inflammation. And the thing about grain-fed beef is it is pro-inflammatory versus grass-fed has some anti-inflammatory properties, and that's because of the difference in the fat breakdown. You have omega-3 and you have omega-6s. The grain-fed is rich in omega-6s, has some omega-3s, but it's rich in omega-6s, where grass-fed is richer in omega-3s, 4 times as many omega-3s in grass-fed beef versus the grain-fed beef. So there's a lot of benefit to having grass-fed just because of the omega-3s. Now, it also has stuff like a lot more CLA, by like 5 times in grass-fed. Also, what you're getting is a ridiculous amount of beta-carotene and vitamin A, and that's why, and I'll show you right now, I took some shots while I was inside. I don't know if you can tell the difference, but the grass-fed beef, in the fat, you see it's real orangey, it's very creamy, it's darker, and that's because of the beta-carotene from eating all the grass. That's all the vitamin A that's in the meat from what the cows ate. In the grain-fed, it's completely white. It is so white, and that's because there's no vitamin A, there's no beta-carotene in that fat. It's just completely white as these glasses, and in the grass-fed, it's entirely different. So you get a lot more nutrients out of grass-fed beef. Is grain-fed beef cancerous and a horrible? No, not at all. It's not a horrible option, but grass-fed is better. And yes, there's a difference between grass-fed and grass-finished. And I know it sucks because of the labeling, but technically, any cow that was fed grass at any point in its life can be marked as grass-fed beef. And that's a bummer, because if it was just grass-fed for a little bit, then it can qualify. Most cows are weaned off milk from their mother's milk by 6 months, and then they're either converted to being grass-fed or they're gone to the grain-fed into the feedlots. With grass-fed, they eat grass, you know, most of their life, and then what they do is they'll have grain the last few months to fatten them up before they go to market. With grass-fed and finished, they eat grass their entire life, and even before they go to market, they still just eat grass. It's just grass all the time. They eat nothing but grass. So that is the healthiest meat you can find. If you can find it, says grass-fed and grass-finished. Now the ground beef here at Whole Foods, they have an option here that's organic, grass-fed, and grass-finished, so I think it hits all the things. Now they could always lie to you on the label, I guess, but you know, if I can at least take the label for what it is, I'll tell you that if you can get organic, grass-fed, and grass-finished, you are getting the top quality nutrients in your beef as possible. Anything you should be eating is for fuel. It's for keeping you healthy, and why not just spend the extra few bucks and get a healthier meat. Now, I also happen to think grass-fed tastes better. I think it's got a better flavor to it. So again, it's also worth that extra few bucks for me to get the grass-fed. Grain-fed, you also, you know, if it is in a feedlot, you don't know, could it be compromised with hormones and other kind of stuff pumped into them to fatten them up, because the grain is there to fatten them up. One thing I've also heard about grain-fed, because if they're in a feedlot, they're stressed out because they're packed in together. And what happens when you get stressed out? Your cortisol levels go higher. Just like in humans and cows, their cortisol level goes higher, they get fatter. So for someone trying to sell the beef for the highest price because they're getting the most amount of weight, you want them to be fat as possible. So if you can get them more stressed out, the cortisol goes up and they get fatter and fatter, and it's just a win-win for someone who's in the meat business. Now, if you know, a cow's out in the pasture, he's eating grass and he's living a relatively stress-free life, the cortisol is going to be low, fat's going to be lower, but it's a better beef. It's a much more nutritious beef that you can get, but that's also why it's harder to find 80-20 grass-fed. It's because grass-fed is usually a much leaner beef, and that, again, that comes from stress levels, that comes from not fattening up through hormones or fattening up through just corn and soy and all the other stuff that grain-fed beef gets. Anyway, Goat Gang, it's Friday. I'm pumped. I'm excited. It's almost 4th of July. What are your 4th of July plans? You got anything going on? I gotta figure out something. I do know whatever it is, it's gonna have grass-fed beef in it. That is my goal, grass-fed and finish. Now what I picked up was this grass-fed skirt steak. So I'm gonna make fajitas out of it tonight, but because I'm in the carnivore diet, because that's the goal, that means I'm not gonna eat any tortillas, no veggies, nothing. So I'm just gonna grill it up, put some fajita seasoning on it, and I'm just gonna pretend like I'm eating a fajita with the tortillas and all the things. And I will put some cheese on it, and it's gonna be delicious, and I'm pretty excited about that. So, Go Gang, that's what I got going on tonight. I hope you have an exciting Friday night. Grass-fed, grass-finished, organic. If you can find it, get it. That's what I get. Go Gang, until mañana, we'll see ya. Be great. But I'm pressing my luck here at Whole Foods, you know. Doing a lot of filming.